Oge's heart was racing. With a trembling voice, she asked, "Who are you and what are you doing in our house?" One of the men in the shadow replied,
"We are messengers, and we have come to take something that belongs to us."
Without another word, the two figures lifted Nkemdilim from his crib. Oge screamed, lunging towards them, but one of the men raised his hand, and she was thrown back by an invisible force. The room spun as she hit the ground, her cries echoing in the night. Ejike burst into the room, his eyes wide with panic. "Oge, what's happening?" "They've taken him," she sobbed, pointing towards the empty crib. "They've taken our son." Ejike's heart pounded as he looked around the room, but the shadowy figures had vanished into the night, taking Nkemdilim with them. He rushed to his wife's side, helping her to her feet. "I will find him," he vowed, his voice steady despite the fear gripping his heart. "I promise you, Oge, I will bring our son back." Ejike dressed quickly, preparing himself for the arduous journey ahead. He packed a small bag with essentials and kissed Oge on the forehead. "Stay here," he insisted, his voice firm but gentle. "I need you to be safe. I will find Baba Obasi and bring Nkemdilim back." "Let me go with you," Oge said. "Please." "No, my love, it is too dangerous. Please go stay with my parents or go to your family and be safe. I promise I will return to you," Ejike responded. Oge nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "Please, Ejike, be careful." With a final embrace, Ejike left their home and set out into the night. The path to Baba Obasi's abode was long and treacherous, but his determination fueled each step. When he arrived, the elder was already waiting, his eyes reflecting a sorrowful understanding. "I know why you have come, Ejike," Baba Obasi said softly. "The gods have taken your son." Ejike's fists clenched in anger. "Why? I have done everything they asked. I have never wronged them." "The gods work in mysterious ways," Baba Obasi replied. "Your son is destined for greatness, but the gods have claimed him for their own reasons. There is a way to retrieve him, but the journey will not be as easy as it may seem." "I will do whatever it takes," Ejike said without hesitation. "I cannot lose my son." Baba Obasi nodded. "Then rest tonight. At dawn, we will begin the preparations for your journey to the sacred mountain, where the spirits of the gods reside." At dawn, Baba Obasi consulted the gods, seeking guidance for the dangerous journey ahead. He performed rituals and chanted prayers, invoking the protection of the ancient spirits. Ejike watched, his heart heavy with anticipation. "Ejike," Baba Obasi said, turning to him, "the road ahead will be fraught with danger. You must be fortified against the spiritual attacks that will come your way." He placed a charm around Ejike's neck, its intricate design pulsing with an otherworldly energy. "This will protect you," Baba Obasi explained. "But you must also rely on your strength and courage." The elder performed several more rituals, bathing Ejike in sacred oils and marking his skin with symbols of protection. By nightfall, Ejike felt a newfound power coursing through his veins, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As they began their journey, the landscape grew increasingly hostile. The dense forest seemed to close in around them, and eerie whispers filled the air. Shadows danced in the corners of Ejike's vision, and unseen eyes watched their every move. Suddenly, a beast emerged from the darkness, its eyes glowing with malevolence. It lunged at them, but Ejike, fortified by the rituals, met its attack head-on. The battle was fierce, both physical and spiritual, as the beast's claws slashed at his flesh and its presence threatened to overwhelm his mind. With a final mighty blow, Ejike defeated the beast, its form dissipating into the night. Baba Obasi nodded in approval. "You have passed the first trial," he said, "but many more await us." After days of treacherous travel and countless trials, they finally reached the base of the sacred mountain. Its peak seemed to touch the heavens, shrouded in mist and mystery. As they began their ascent, the air grew thin, and a palpable energy crackled around them. Baba Obasi led the way, chanting prayers to the gods. Ejike followed, his heart filled with both hope and dread. At the summit, they found a clearing bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. Baba Obasi performed the final rituals, calling upon the gods to reveal their intentions. The air grew heavy as Baba Obasi's voice resonated through the clearing. The ground trembled, and the spirits of the gods appeared, their forms shimmering in ethereal light.
Why have you come?
A voice boomed, echoing through the night. "We seek the return of Ejike's son," Baba Obasi replied. "He was taken by your messengers." The gods' gaze turned to Ejike, their eyes filled with an unfathomable depth.
Your son is destined for greatness,
they intoned.
But if you wish to see him again, you must make a sacrifice.
"What sacrifice?" Ejike asked, his voice trembling with fear and desperation. "The gift we bestowed upon you," the gods replied. "Your manhood. You must give it up forever to save your son." Ejike stood in shock, the weight of the gods' demand crashing down upon him. His mind raced, torn between the love for his son and the life-altering sacrifice the gods required. Baba Obasi placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "The choice is yours, Ejike. No one can make it for you." Ejike's heart ached as he thought of Oge and Nkemdilim. The thought of losing his son forever was unbearable, but so was the sacrifice the gods demanded. His future, his identity, everything he had known would be irrevocably changed. As dawn approached, Ejike's resolve hardened. He could not lose his son. He would make the sacrifice, no matter the cost. He turned to Baba Obasi, his voice steady. "I will do it. I will give up my manhood to save my son." The gods' eyes glowed with approval. "Very well," they said. The ritual shall commence. The air grew thick with anticipation as Baba Obasi began the ritual. He chanted ancient prayers, his voice rising and falling like the tides. Ejike stood in the center of the clearing, his heart pounding with fear and determination. The god's presence enveloped him, and he felt a searing pain as the transformation began. His manhood, the gift and curse that had defined his life, was taken from him. As the ritual concluded, Ejike collapsed to the ground, his body trembling with the aftershocks of the sacrifice. Baba Obasi knelt beside him, offering words of comfort. In the distance, a faint cry pierced the silence. Ejike looked up, tears streaming down his face as he saw Nkemdilim running towards him. He reached out, pulling his son into a tight embrace. With Nkemdilim safe in his arms, Ejike and Baba Obasi began the journey back to Umuagu. The path seemed less treacherous, the trials they had faced now behind them. Ejike's heart swelled with a mixture of relief and sorrow. He had saved his son, but the price he had paid was immeasurable. He could only hope that Oge would understand and that their love would endure. When they finally returned to the village, Oge ran to meet them, her eyes wide with hope and fear. She cried out in joy as she saw Nkem Dilim, pulling him into her arms. Ejike stood back, his heart heavy. He watched as Oge's joy turned to confusion, then understanding as she saw the pain in his eyes. "Ejike," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "What did you do?" Ejike took her hand, leading her away from the crowd. He told her everything: the journey, the trials, the god's demand, and his ultimate sacrifice. Oge's eyes filled with tears as she listened. "You did this for us," she said softly, her voice trembling. "You gave up everything for our son." Ejike nodded, his heart aching. "I couldn't lose him, Oge. I couldn't lose you." Word of Ejike's sacrifice spread through the village, and the people were in shock. They had always known him to be strong and brave, but this act of love and selflessness was beyond anything they had imagined. The elders convened, acknowledging Ejike's sacrifice as a testament to the power of love and the strength of the human spirit. They offered their support and vowed to honor his bravery.